Hey parents and coaches, are your kids using the right glove? The most important skill for youth athletes to learn is how to play proper catch. The problem is, most youth gloves are made with bad leather and are too big for small hands. They actually make it harder to play catch. That's why former Major League Baseball shortstop Kevin Smith created Cali gloves. Cali gloves are crafted from 100% Japanese kip leather and are the perfect size for kids. All Cali gloves come with palm slits, finger loops, and elastic wrist lacing that encourage proper hand placement, the right closing patterns, and give kids more confidence to go make plays. Cali gloves even allow parents to break in the glove without stretching out the fit. It's the glove Kevin wishes he had growing up, and the glove all his teammates want for their kids. Visit caligloves.com to learn more and help your kids play better catch. That's Cali Gloves, K-A-L-I gloves.com.
Welcome to this week's edition of In the Clubhouse with EMD Baseball. I'm Andy Kirikides, joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Keith Glasser. How we doing?
Great. How are you?
Got my new fly hat on. Yours are in the mail.
I don't know the mail. I don't have any. I'm just wearing a backwards blue one.
Fair enough. It's a good look for you, though.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Today's topic, I feel like this is kind of an annual one this time of year that I feel like we always need to continue to touch on is showcase timing, and specifically about the timing of events in that January, February time frame, kind of heading into the high school season. And there are some things that I think people need to take into consideration when deciding on where they're going to go or if they're going to showcase. So we're going to cover that here. So I'll kick it over to you, Coach, to start off with a couple thoughts, and we'll cover this topic.
Sure. This is my favorite topic, or one of my favorite topics, I should say. The timing of the January, February, we're in the quiet period, obviously, from a Division I standpoint. So only Division II and III coaches can go out and see you. I think, and I'll beat this drum and die on this hill. From a position player standpoint, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I want to say that if you're going to go to these events, you want to at least have been doing some throwing, be in the cages, do a little bit of defense, so that when you show up, you're not just all rusty from not having done nothing for 3-4 months. Where I feel like the showcase timing in the January, February realm gets jammed up is where you're from, I should say, geographically, right? If you're a Northeast kid, if you're a New England kid, where you're not really going to be pitching or throwing meaningful innings until late March, most likely April, I don't think that you should really be going to these showcase events because you're not ready. Even some of these high schools, I've heard of some of high school guys that are throwing bullpens in early January, why I don't know. You're not throwing a meaningful inning for another 4 months. So I'm unsure why we're getting up and down on mounds 4 months out. Like college guys don't do that. Pro guys don't do that. But for some reason at the high school level, we feel as though that's the right thing to do. But guys aren't ready to go. And you run the risk of injuring yourself, obviously, first and foremost. But it creates a super long season for yourself, right? So you're going to be throwing January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and maybe into October. So we're talking 10 months of throwing. And if you're not ready, you're going to go to these camps and be seen by guys, and they're going to evaluate you on what they see in front of you, in front of themselves. So if you go there and you're not very good because you're not ready, you're going to get crossed off of lists. And if you're really good, they're going to go, I got to see that guy against better competition in the summer. So I'm not saying it's not a lose-lose, because if you go there and you're really good, that creates a follow, right? Which gets your foot in the door where coaches are going to be able to come or they're going to want to get out and see you throw in the summer against other competition. But if you're not good, they're not going to come see you throw in the summer. And conversely, if you are good, you got to be able to do that in July, 7 months from now, when they're coming to see you throw. And that's a hard thing to do for younger guys, where you can be up for 7 months and be really good in July, that you were the same person that they saw in January that you're in July. So I think for arms, you have to be very careful with what you want to do from a showcase standpoint. Obviously, if you're a Southeast type kid where, you're firing up baseball in late February and you're built up and you're ready to go, different story, right? Like you've been throwing, you've been up and down a mound, you've thrown pens, you've thrown live stuff, like that's a different animal. But if you're a mid-Atlantic, Northeast, New England type kid or Midwest type kid where, you haven't been outside, you haven't been throwing, maybe you're playing hoops, I would really think twice about signing up for a showcase and going and throwing, because there's not a large amount of upside for you in going to that showcase and throwing. If you're the parent of a high school baseball player with college aspirations, you already know the recruiting process can feel overwhelming. Endless showcases, nonstop emails, and big promises with very little clarity. That's why we recommend Diamond College Showcase Camps, the nation's premier academic baseball showcase. At Diamond College Showcases, every college coach in attendance is there with a purpose: to coach, instruct, evaluate, and recruit. Every player is seen, every player is engaged, and every family leaves with a clear understanding of where they truly stand. This is not a mass camp. College coaches run the drills, evaluate every athlete, and provide honest professional feedback that you can trust. Diamond College Showcase Camps are built for serious student athletes who value both baseball and academics. If you're looking for transparency, clarity, and a recruiting experience that respects your time and your player's future, Diamond College Showcase is the place to be. To learn more, visit diamondcollegeshowcase.com.
Yeah, the health thing is the one that I always get jammed up with, and the timing, like you're talking about, being ready to throw a competitive bullpen the first week of February at somebody's camp when you don't throw a meaningful high school pitch until the first week of April. You might be asking yourself to do a lot in the preparation there to make sure that you're healthy come spring and summer. To your point, guys are going to most likely want to see you compete versus throw kind of a controlled environment bullpen. Then there's so much you can do with video these days too that can catch guys' eyes. That in-person evaluation from a pitching standpoint in February may not be quite as important, because you can show guys TrackMan data and video, and they got a pretty good idea, and then they're going to want to watch you compete anyways. So that first time showcase, I just think it matters from a pitching perspective. It matters so much that you're actually ready to do it. And for most kids in the northern climates, they shouldn't be ready. It's not that they aren't, it's that they shouldn't be ready at that point. Most guys, I'm in Northern Virginia, and, most guys right now aren't even in their bullpen phase, and they start earlier down here. So I think keeping an eye on health and making sure that you're actually ready to go perform is really important, both for the short term and for the long-term evaluation piece. To your point, if you go there and you're not ready to go and you don't have a good performance, that's your first impression that you make with a coach. And not that it's the end all be all, but you only get one chance to make a first impression, as the saying goes, and you want to make sure that you make a good one. From a position player standpoint, I think one of the things to consider with a lot of these indoor camps, and I can say this because I've had conversations with guys, college coaches recently about this, about a couple guys, is yeah, it'd be great if he could come, but I'd rather have him come to our prospect camp in the summer, where it's 2 days. We're going to play games. We're going to be on campus. We're going to be doing tours. A lot of these camps that happen in February, most of them are pretty condensed, and I would actually consider them a little bit more like a clinic, where you get an opportunity to go play in front of those coaches, but you're also going to be limited in terms of what is going to be done at those camps. Right? There's going to be fewer live at bats, if any. You may not run, you might not do a full workout. It's a little bit of a different environment, and being selective about where you go and when you go, I think, is, another really important piece of the puzzle. And The only other thing that I think that needs to be taken into consideration here, and I think this goes broadly for all types of camps that people choose to attend, is you need to go somewhere where you're going to you actually have a chance of being recruited at. And we talk about this a lot. And the kind of two examples that we use is like if you're not an ACC guy, it's pretty obvious if you are. But if you're not an ACC guy, flying down to Wake Forest hitting camp in February, might not be the best use of your time. If you're a 3.3 student with a 24 ACT and you decide that you want to go to Columbia's camp, you can be the best player that's ever shown up to camp, but they can't recruit you, right? So making really good decisions about where you go. And the other thing that's really important to note about the timing of things in this kind of the late winter here is Division I coaches can't leave campus. So you're only showcasing yourself in front of one Division I school. A lot of these schools will bring other coaches on campus, but they're going to be Division II and Division III guys. If you fit at those levels, then yeah, that makes sense. But understanding who's going to be there, understanding the format, and making sure you're in a place where you can really actually go and make a name for yourself and pique somebody's interest is really important. Especially if you're 27, right? If you're 28, I could be convinced that there's a little bit more value about getting some feedback and kind of understanding where you stand in the grand scheme of things. That's a little bit different. But I do think that there's an element of knowledge that needs to be imparted about where you fit. And, is it going to be worth your time to go to one of those camps? And, having somebody who's able to direct you on that, I think is really important because it can save you time. It can save you money. Most of these camps are going to take you a full weekend to kind of plan out, even if it's Saturday and you're traveling, you're probably either getting into town Friday night or leaving early Saturday morning. You're kind of washing almost 2 days during the weekend. And those are two valuable days from a workout perspective as well. So it sounds like there's a lot to unpack as we talk about it here. And I feel like we're throwing a lot of information into kind of a tight window. But I think at the end of the day, it's really not that complicated. Is if you're a pitcher, you better be ready to rock and roll if you're going to go throw a bullpen for somebody. And that better not compromise your ability to be ready and healthy for the high school season, and more importantly for the summer where the vast majority of recruiting occurs. And from a position player standpoint, making a decision on going somewhere that is actually feasible for you and a place that you could potentially fit, and understanding the type of player you are, the type of player that a program's looking for, before you make these decisions to run off and try to showcase yourself, in this January, February timeframe, when, most of your opportunities to improve or to impress coaches are going to come by one, having a really good high school season. So you've got a little bit of a resume that you can bounce off of coaches. And then two, this summer, where the camp opportunities are going to be more detailed. They're going to be more game-like in a lot of the evaluation. And I think there's a lot more opportunity and a lot more bang for your proverbial buck, if you will, when it comes to attending some of those camps during the summer.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Anything else you want to add to the showcase timing that we feel like we always need to make sure that we touch on?
I don't think so. I mean, we hammer this stuff quite a bit, so I think we nailed this one.
All right.
If you have any questions, let us know. Email us. We'll answer them for you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Tune in next week, and we will talk to you then. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for listening this week. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and smash that like button for us. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at EMD Baseball. If you want to find out what me and Keith do to help families and players navigate the recruiting process, go ahead and check us out on emdbaseball.com. Take a few minutes to check out our new online academy. I promise you'll get some good information out of that. Thanks again for listening. Check in with you next week.